on Congress to get done what history will judge. Pass the Freedom to Vote Act. Pass it now, which will prevent voter suppression. So here in Georgia, there's full access to voting by mail. There are enough drop boxes during enough hours so that you can bring food and water as well to people waiting in line. The Freedom to Vote Act takes on election subversion to protect nonpartisan electors, officials who are doing their job from intimidation and interference. It would get dark money out of politics, create fair district maps, and ending partisan gerrymandering. Look, it's also time to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. I've been having these quiet conversations with the members of Congress for the last 2 months. I'm tired of being quiet.
So Joe Biden now tired of being quiet a couple months after we were already tired of him being quiet for about 8 months, because while some of the people in the background of that shot were very excited to hear the president talk about voter suppression and what he wants done about it, I too am excited for him to address this 8 days shy of 1 year after his inauguration, when we were already seeing, at the time of the inauguration, we were already seeing many Republican-led states stamping out people's ability to vote. Well, he's now talking. JR, he's tired of being quiet, and so he's speaking a little bit. What do you think?
Listen, okay, listen. I'm okay with this. I'm okay with the speech. I'm okay with the fire. I'm okay with the banging on the table, which later we're going to talk about someone else banging on podiums that didn't go over so well. But I'm okay with all this stuff. I'm okay with the heightened rhetoric, and now he's angry, even though all of this, of course, is generated and staff driven in a written speech right here. We know that. That's all politicians. That's not a knock on Democrats versus Republicans and Joe Biden and all that stuff. That's what all of them do. I'm okay with it because now it's even more on tape. I don't like the quiet conversations because we don't know what you're saying. We don't know how much you're saying. Well, maybe we'll just kind of show them it. We kind of want to, and sort of somewhat. Have the conversation out loud. Yes, no more quiet ones. So that now, if and when, or if you don't do this, we've got you directly saying this is what you want to do and this is what you're going to be striving towards. So if you don't, which we've seen it happen in so many other policies so far just in this first year, you have to answer for it. Now you're losing all of this talk about how libs and progressives keep talking down Democrats, and if we would lose in the midterms and eventually lose the presidency, it's their fault. We got you on tape saying you're gonna do these things, and if you don't do it, we see whose fault it really is.
Yeah, I mostly agree. Like, certainly I like getting politicians on the record. In this particular case, though, the only issue I have is that so you said he'll have to answer for it, and I guess he will, but like, so will we, kind of. Like, if it doesn't happen, could he suffer in some ways? Well, yes, I would argue that the midterms are not going to go well for his party, and so, second order effect, he'll suffer. But like, we'll lose Democratic control of the House and Democratic control of the Senate. We'll lose any chance in the next 3 years of like literally anything happening, and it'll probably screw them over for 2024 as well. I mean, if they let this gerrymandering happen, if they let all this voter suppression happen, they have a much less chance of any Democrat actually winning. So like, we're all gonna have to answer for it. And the issue too is that like, he's tired of being quiet, so now he's speaking, but like, wait, that's not like 0 to 60 right there, buddy. Oh, like, okay, so now you're speaking. That's like 15 miles per hour. That's not what we need. What was that whole speech about Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema and Tester and Shaheen and the others who aren't reforming the filibuster? Because asking for a bill to be passed under conditions in which literally nothing can be passed seems pointless. Like, you have to make it about the filibuster, which, by the way, we'll go on in a second. He does want to reform the filibuster, but that also has to happen at some point. And as of right now, it doesn't look like it's going to. And it's not some mystery as to why that is. So if you know what's stopping the change from happening, that's stopping the bill from happening, you need to talk about the thing that's stopping both of those things. That's what your effort should be on. And not just talking, putting actual pressure. Go to their states, start raising money for primary contenders to them. There are other things you can do. It's not guaranteed that any of those things will actually succeed, but we need you to be seen to be making an effort. And that speech doesn't count, doesn't qualify as making enough of an effort.
I agree. It's just now he's got to make that, he has to now do some action. Because like, again, politicians can sit back and be quiet and say, yeah, I said it, right? Maybe you kind of didn't hear it. But he's out here making this very pronounced speech, making sure people know and come out, wanted folks to be there that weren't. So they're making at least an exhibition of it. Action has to follow. If it doesn't, you no one to blame but yourself.
Yeah. So we'll see. Now, Joe Biden, or well, you know what? Actually, why don't we go to his other comment? We've got another video of him talking about the filibuster. We should get that out there for context.
Designed to be the world's greatest deliberative body, has been rendered a shell of its former self. Gives me no satisfaction in saying that as an institutionalist, as a man who was honored to serve in the Senate. But as an institutionalist, I believe that the threat to our democracy is so grave that we must find a way to pass these voting rights bills. Debate them, vote, let the majority prevail. And if that bare minimum is blocked, we have no option but to change the Senate rules, including getting rid of the filibuster for this.
Okay, so look, the president giving a big speech calling for the filibuster to be removed for this, he says, specifically a carve out. Let's be clear, but look, I'm fine with that as a short-term solution is something, but again, there's still a lot of issues with that actually getting passed. So it's something, but it's so far just a speech. It's a speech, but it's also just a speech.
I get the feeling you're losing some faith in the possible actions of this administration and actually getting something done. Did you ever really fully believe that there was something was gonna happen here?
Specifically with voting rights?
With anything, because we've seen how they failed on a few things. Not even just failed, but
I don't know. Yeah, look, they put out a lot of like Mansion and Cinema. You remember, we've been through 30 different iterations of, hey, maybe a talking filibuster, maybe a carve out. They've done that over and over. Then they denied that they did it, but we've got the quotes. So I don't know. I'm not necessarily gonna try to kick the football every time you put it out, but I might like glance at the football once. And I guess I look stupid even for that, but anyway.
What you have to do is make sure that Lucy is looking away while she's holding the football so she doesn't know you're about to kick it. And then you get hurt.
That's true. And she's holding the football with this.
For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.